I'm in SQL Developer, and I have a SQL statement here in my text editor, and we want to get the execution plan for this statement. Right off the top, I want to mention that in SQL Developer and other Oracle documentation, you're going to see the term explain plan. What explain plan means is that you want to have Oracle run an operation and have Oracle explain what the execution plan is that it would use to process the SQL statement. So for our purposes, saying explain plan or generate the execution plan are synonymous. So don't be confused by this slight variation in terminology. The first thing I want to do is show you how I have SQL Developer configured to display an execution plan. To configure what data is shown, you first want to go to the Tools menu and then down here to Preferences. You then want to click on Database, open this up, and then find Auto Trace Explain Plan. The configuration for the execution plan is on the right in my version of SQL Developer, which is SQL Developer 4. And what I want to do is show you that I have 4 columns checked: cardinality, cost, object name, and if I go down to the bottom here, the predicates column. You can experiment with turning on other columns, as they may provide a little bit of additional information. For example, by selecting the I/O cost or CPU cost columns, and those are up here at the top, you can break the cost out by those 2 factors respectively. However, most of these options just alter the way that we're viewing the data in some way, but it's all the same data. But do experiment, as everyone's preference is a little bit different in terms of how they like to view an execution plan. So let's go ahead and exit out of this. And then in your toolbar, you're going to have a button that looks like this. I'm going to circle it on the screen here, and the tooltip on that button is going to be Explain Plan. The location of this button has moved around a little bit in different versions of SQL Developer, so take a look and see where it is on the version that you have. Clicking on this button will instruct SQL Developer to send the current SQL statement to Oracle and get the execution plan back. If you prefer keyboard shortcuts, the F10 key is the shortcut key, and that does seem to be consistent between different versions of SQL Developer. So let's go ahead and generate our execution plan. And again, when we do this, Oracle's not actually running our SQL statement, it's just generating the execution plan and returning it back to us. This is useful to know in a couple of scenarios. First, if you have a DML statement like an update or delete, getting the execution plan does not actually run those statements, so you aren't affecting any data. Second, if you have a very resource-intensive query, again, that query is not actually running when you get the execution plan, so you're safe in getting the execution plan to start your tuning efforts, and you don't have to worry about impacting other users of your database.